Namaste. Hello, everybody, and every other channel, Wisdom, YouTube, and Facebook, um, LinkedIn. Good evening. I hope you had a nice Christmas and had good relations with your friends and family. Uh, I'm going to go in a different direction today. This is more about how much people have the effect of their mind on their body. Couple of things happened. As a physician, I have this every day anyway. One of my relatives and one of my students, they had some physical problems, and then it's very fascinating to see how their mind got those minimal symptoms into something much bigger. So I had to deal with it. We dealt with it, and we kind of got both of them out of that. But that made me realize how much people make their disease states much worse with the power of how they think and how they really worry and fear about the thing, right? The moment they hear a word about these days, sutras have become big deal because they think I may have this COVID, right? Immediately they panic, especially the people who had that before and who had this for a while, all the symptoms. Now a new, the virus is a new deviant variant from the Metricon. So it has this high efficacy rate. That means it can spread pretty fast, but it is a low severity rate. That means it is not going to be severe in the people who are affected, but it can be acquired very easily. That's why we are having a lot of cases reported, and they're going up. Probably they will go up through the winter, and people are, the moment they hear COVID, they kind of build a big reaction within them. The consequence of that is you not only feel you are going to get sick, and you actually get sick because your activated mind brings up all this negative thinking or fearful thinking that is going to really activate your immune system in a way that's not helpful to you, right? More than the metabolic system, that is kind of really makes you sick and all that. If you have an underlying condition like a diabetes or lung disease, COPD, or heart disease, or any of the renal failures, any of the underlying diseases, they get much worse because of your own inner reaction that you have elicited by your own thinking. It's not far-fetched, it really is there. And then we kind of routinely tell people, don't panic. In most of the people, this COVID will resolve by itself, provided you take some care about your breathing, about your body, and nutrition and all that, right? So people get reassured, and then even if they have it, they are much better educated now as to what this disease is now. But the phenomena of hearing some bad news or some other diagnosis in your care, and then immediately setting the mind run against you, run against uh, your own knowledge, your own concepts, your own accumulated beliefs. All those things come into play. So the higher the education we found, the less people react like that. They are educated, they are informed, they are aware, so they don't react with panic, or they don't react with some kind of apprehension, right? But if you can tell them what is what, where it is, they will be well controlled, and then that way they don't activate the mind. But many, by and large, they do. And then that's where the psychosomatic medicine has come about. So One of the principles in ancient wisdom is how to not to activate this. See, that's how it has become a big deal, So that kind of psychosomatic origin is very important, and he talks about this in the introduction of this ancient classic. Um, they talk about if you have this inner nature of having an ego and having beyond the ego yourself, then ego is the one which kind of imagines a lot of things, a lot of attributes that cause this activation of the mind. So when you don't have that, then the reactions will be much less. That's a significant, profound insight for anybody. If you can really understand it and do not really participate in aggravating that reactiveness, and then after the reaction happens, just carrying on it with thinking in a lot of directions, and sometimes they may not even make sense. They go to different directions. So people uh, do come to the clinics, and then most of the time it happens with they think some of these things are terminal and they cannot be treated. But they miss the point. The even what we consider terminal as physicians, but your body can heal and show us surprises. We call them conveniently spontaneous healings. There are anecdotal, right? A lot of people see we kind of go by the study, and whether the study is right or not, or accurate or not, or correct or not. We just the moment somebody does a study, they oh, this should be scientific. But lately, there's a lot of cheating going on there. So they may say 100% of this study have been improved. So how many people are in the study? Four or five or six. That's a very, very small number to come to any decision. But people are involved in that. And they will say 50% of patient sample. What's the sample? 20 sample. The 10. So it has meaningless. But then they are getting away with murder by approving things with kind of cheating reporting, right? So I had a book one time. I called it testing the test and finding out the truth about the test. All the lab tests and everything that we do, correlating with the results of wherever they have done a paper or some published data or not. So there is a way to really look at the data in a critical way so that we can really establish this is right or not. Okay, so that kind of thing is very important to consider. Okay, so if you can really see how your body reacts to your own thinking, negative especially, and then your fears, your beliefs, your conclusions, all those things that you want to put aside by calming your mind by meditating. Okay, that's the purpose I wanted to bring it to everybody, because if you have already some conclusions and accumulations of any situation, you react with them. And then if you are not watching and if you actively involved in thinking like that, the thinking will get worse, and the thinking will make you much worse than to begin with. So you are going to church, for example, or school, or wherever people are gathering, and you happen to get a sore throat because you have got an upper airway infection, because a lot of people in the same room, they can do that. So these days, people are wearing the mask. Not all of them, but some of them. But if you know, in Japan, they wear the mask no matter what, whether they have infection or not. Even they don't have infection in public, they wear a mask so that they won't get they won't spread any infection from them. That is the public civic nature of Japanese. They are very sensitive about those things, right? So if you are really not worried about things, that's one thing. But if you begin to panic and be fearful when you get some new diagnosis, no matter what it is, that gets much worse. Okay, so that's the major thing about it. So how do you assess whether your body is affected by mind or not. Okay, so you will see in the stage where you are not slept for a while, where you have not taken care of yourself very well, and then because you lowered your resistance, you get the infections, and because you are engaged in mindless thinking or fear, that gets much worse. So always calm yourself down. The best way that is to take deep breaths and then find the information, find the accurate information, and then consider that, and then make a decision whether this is serious or not. Even if that is serious, if you nurture yourself, if you allow yourself, the body take care of yourself, most of the diseases. But then, if you have established a disease like a diabetes, it won't go away like that. You got to do some measures to get that under control, right? So it's always a question of being in the moment, watching our thoughts, and holding on our reactions as much as possible until we get the right information, and then appropriately respond to it. Don't even react. Reaction is with the emotions going all over, and that will secrete a lot of stress hormones. But if you respond with intelligence as to how I am going to deal with it, that's the important thing. Okay, so understanding the whole situation is takes time. So whenever I diagnose somebody, I want to take care of this. I want to take care of that they don't overthink about this, or they act with information that they don't have. Okay, most of the time people are kind of react right away. So this happens quite often in my exam rooms. um, I get to diagnose several of the cancers early because I look for them if they have suspicion. Breast cancer is something because we order mammogram routinely for people, right? And we got this pap smears, so we discovered a lot of cervical cancer and lung cancer, and then bowel cancer, colon cancer. These are all the initial tests a primary doctor like me will order, right, in United States. So I get the first report. So I get to tell my patient what is the diagnosis. But many of them, I prepare them for the report because it has become routine. But still, people react in different ways. And then the people who are high strung, the people who are very emotional, the people who are very sensitive, the people who are very insecure, fearful, those kind of people we can see them very easily. And then we want to get some support from their loved ones, and then only we discuss the, what is the diagnosis. But it's fascinating to watch how much that mind worsens this diagnosis. Initial diagnosis, they are reasonably okay, they have the diagnosis there, but it's not killing them. But then they start to not to sleep, they start to worry, they start to think about it, they start to really do a lot of thinking related to this in a negative way, like they fail, or they could be too careful about it and all that. So I always tell them, do these things one at a time. Okay, you have a preliminary suggestive diagnosis, but I have not confirmed it yet, right? We have to confirm it, and also we have to see what is the stage of the cancer or whatever. Then we have to do a series of scans, and then sometimes we consult the oncology person that will evaluate all that. Okay, so that kind of real uh, holding them one step at a time. I tell them, take this one step at a time. Don't rush to conclusion. Lots of times, these diagnoses also come back as negative later on. But meanwhile, they work themselves up, and then they kind of react with the ongoing mind conditions. That's why you develop a habit of how not to activate my mind so easily. Okay, then you will be able to have a steadiness not only in your mind but in your body also. that steadiness. Okay, even if they diagnose, I will deal with the situation. Okay, if that is there, then I'm going to go and take second opinion and do all those things have to be done. And while you are doing this, don't think too much about it, and don't act out of your fear or out of somebody else's internet posting and all that, but really get a real good conclusions with a very good testing we have, right? Get educated about it, get to see alternative therapies. All these things you do it because your mind is not acting on your body. So that's the question you want to put in. How do you diagnose that you are really overthinking and that information overload? All those things are acting on your body. Uh, First of all, you will be mild in thinking, right? And that time you have to watch any physical, psychological symptoms, then you will know. You may have headache, you may have lack of sleep, you may have lack of energy, you may have like you don't are not patient with people, you kind of short with them. All those irritability, anxiety, depression, all those things will be there, right? When you see something like that, first act on the mind. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Calm your body with so many techniques I showed you before. Like I showed you how to be solitude for 3 minutes. There is a tape I showed you. How to meditate every day in the morning and in the evening. There's a tape I did for that also. But any number of ways you can deep breathe, you can focus on one particular thing, you can read something very light or very inspiring, you can really do minor exercise and stretches and breathing. All these things will help you to not to get activated and then let your mind run with it. Okay, so that's very important in so many situations anyway. The more you practice that, the more it becomes easier for you. Okay, so cultivate a lifestyle where when you get up, get yourself together in your mind. A simple practice would be when you really awake from the sleep, don't rush to devices, all the phones, iPads, everything, you put it aside. And then sit at the edge of the bed and then close your mouth and then through the nose, close your eyes also. And then 10 deep breaths just upon arising. Okay? And then don't even open everything right there. Just look around the nature, look at what is happening, get connected with it, not with the chattering mind, but just letting the eyes see it or ears hear whatever it is. Just stay with it. That morning, trying to be in control of that goes a long way. If you don't do it, and then you immediately get onto the news, get onto other things, as you begin to think about it, that perpetual network of thought is opened up and it will go cyclical thinking. Same thought again and again, all those things come. That's when people really become really neurotic and they don't have control on this activated mind. So a lot of people feel that's natural for them to be activated. It's not, because our natural thing is sereneness, silence, and we speak out of that. But then some people are conditioned or trained from the childhood, so whenever somebody says something, it immediately activates their mind, and then they will be thinking a lot even after the person is gone. So the important thing is how to slow the thinking down, deep breathing, and how to be in that silence every day is just to be aware of yourself and be in that awareness all the time. Okay, easily said done, but then it's important to understand this. So evaluate yourself in any situation, negative or positive situation. How is the energy feeling in your body? How do you feel um, in terms of joyful, at least, kind of nothing shakes you, nothing phases you, that kind of thing, if it's not, then the moment you have seen an episode of somebody in some cities, 1,000 people are killed with corona, then People who are in other areas where they don't have the spread yet that much, they got a lot of them sick because they're so afraid seeing the number and they illustrate this thought mechanism, which is that's why to reverse that kind of thing in those situations when you are in crisis, you need to practice how to really be in charge of your thought other times, like a normal time. Getting up in the morning, don't get into those devices, and then go and find the nature and do something with it, and go to other live people and do conversations and whatever, non-controversial, and that kind of thing will really put you down here. Lately, people have become more kind of, some people are real slaves, some people are real habituated to phones, iPads, and all the, uh, there's going to be much more because there is going to be so much data that we could use and so much more activity of these programmers and other people too, because they don't have to do that much programming anymore. So they will do much a lot bigger things probably after this. Okay, so as the situation develops and we have more AI, more of instant answers and all that, that can breed its own problem. Okay, many people are really reluctant to wear these chips in the brain, are wearing some spectacles that show you your entire history in the spectacle. There are so many technological innovations that are coming in, but you to have that mind under control, you should not be exposed to these devices all the time. Once a day is okay, two twice is okay, okay. But then if you are constantly checking, constantly that interruptions are happening all the time, that's not good. Okay. Many cities may not have it, but many cities are so close together they can move without the phone. And that's how they get hooked and become neurotic about the phone. And people cannot take them away. So always see where your thinking is. That's first. Am I thinking too fast or too slow, too negative, too positive? That kind of thing you identify. And then you be loyal and trusting to the people who are really talking to you about these matters. Okay. So get up in the morning, take deep breaths, control your mind, and then that's called, we call it as I thought. The very first thought that you have after you get up from the bed is called I thought. That I thought, if you are not conscious about it, it will be cyclical. That means it comes again and again and again for no purpose. That's why it's called neurotic. And the more people are working like that lately, their attention span goes down. So that is also there too. So if you can really have control on that I thought, not I sense, I thought, then it will be much more easy for it to get activated later on. And then any situation comes, people will be yelling at each other, not really solving any problems. Okay, so understand this. I thought, how to suppress that, how to understand, how to go beyond it. Then you'll be all right for a while. Then you continue to develop this mental muscle where you are not overthinking, you are not going after the thinking just like that. Okay, so that part is really lacking. And when you go to work somewhere and you have so many stimuli coming from outside to interrupt you, to distract you, and that is actually there was something done on the YouTube, either as a movie or documentary or uh, something. I saw that 2 3 years ago. Social dilemma. Yeah, that's the one. They will show you there, how these people know how to distract people and get their business. But in the long run, that distraction they are providing and we are succumbing to it is not good for our mental health. That's the point. Okay, people will be really unhappy with me when I tell them don't be so much into the internet, into the particular political parties and all that. They don't get it, but it is all subliminal images. They are trying to influence your mind, and we fall for it, right? And then they're going to have this face recognition technology, like in China. and things will be much worse probably. But we will go along, we will adjust it. So to this also, there are people who don't know computer, who don't know what is the GPS, who don't know what is the cell phone number, and they're perfectly happy with themselves. But once they are also initiated on these things, they have more attacks with the stimuli, and then they react to them. Our reaction is just to shoot them, but that could be a wrong thing to do, shooting at the time, right? So keep the mind under control right after you get up. And then when you go to work, you have a lot of things coming up. Identify what is the most important for you according to your values. And commit like I'm going to do three things today. And while you're doing the three things, I'm not going to think about a lot of things. I will just focus on what I'm doing. And after that is done, in between, I'll take some breathing breaks. If you can do something like that, yeah, then you will be able to do all three very easily. And after they are done, you can take break and you can do whatever you want, right? So morning, afternoon is like this, and then in the evening when you come home, just to sit and reflect on what has happened and what was your behavior. Were you reacting or were you responding? If you practice like that, maybe 20, 30 days later, this habit replaces the old habit of continuous thinking. Once you have that capacity to control that, thinking going cyclical, you'll be much better off. Okay, so start the day with awareness. Be in present and awareness during the office, if possible, and at the end of it, reflect on everything and take from it. Okay, so these are the some of the simple things I told you. But anybody has any questions, you can ask me. Then I'll try to answer them for you. Uh, there's a lot if you want to talk about minute reactions that people may have in the body. It's called reactionary because you want to think and you want to influence the body to express its reflection. So the more relaxed in your mind, the more easier you are with yourself, the better it is for the body. So you want to have a staying power that you in the body. That means your thought should not be going all over. So there is a steadiness in the body and the mind that happens because you understood this phenomenon of psychosomatic medicine, where the influence is coming. That will go down. The reaction that you'll have will go down slowly. Okay, so I think I will limit this talk to that simple thing rather than going deeper into it. But the deeper is more like what happens with the mechanics of thought patterns. Why do they get activated so easily, and why do they come out so quickly after that? So it is a connection with your emotions and all that, right? Then you feel pretty bad, and that becomes a negative emotion, and that's not good for you in the long run. So always be in the present, face what it is, and then spend little time on forecasting what's going to happen or what should have happened in the past, because that other is better. It's a very Monday morning quarterback thing. Like this all happened, and then you want to say something about it. Okay? So you go easy on your mind and go easy on your body that way. The more you are not activatingly and reacting to anything, but you are responding to solve the problem, the better it is for us. So this needs observation. That means you should slow down in your thinking, and then it needs some kind of nurturing by other people. So be in a committee or a group that can help you with that. So all right, I will stop there for now, and then I will See, next time maybe we'll get a different topic or this topic if people are interested. Okay. Uh, all right. Nazli, you have any questions? I have to ask her because she comes more often. So, okay. She doesn't have any questions either. All right. That's watch your body and see what you have. Just thinking how that is influenced. Then you can write it down and keep a tab of that. And down the line, it feels like, oh, yeah, I have discovered why I feel that way. Many people who are nervous, they feel this vomiting sensation, right? And that's also there. So emotional disturbance or intellectual disturbance, all these things happen to people, right? So watch this, and it provoked me when I saw my relative and also my student both report the same things. Like, and then what they were doing is, because on the live camera they're talking, going on talking in a large sentences and all that. So they're kind of nervous probably. But once I talked to them about the COVID, what's happening, you can increase your own resilience, I was telling them, and people were happy that they have some solutions for that. Okay. All right. So I will see you tomorrow then. Okay. Bye bye.